Hello. In this video clip, we're looking at clause 4.3 of ISO 27001. So you will have seen the corresponding clip for ISO 9001. That largely will explain the principles behind clause 4.3 and the expectations of an auditor, which should be explicit therein. The only real difference that we need to look at in this particular clip relevant to information security and ISO 27001 is at point C. So just following the cursor, this particular sentence here is important because in ISO 9001, this particular point spoke to the requirement to consider products and services being offered by the organization as part of the scope. In this case, it's stating something completely different. So it's looking for the organization to consider interfaces and dependencies between activities performed by the organization and those that are performed by other organizations. So if we take that and break it down a little bit, okay, interfaces and dependencies, what does that mean? Okay, so if we consider the basic idea of an interface is, well, the human and the hardware and the software and the data all come together during an activity within a process. Well, what we're looking for are to identify the interfaces where vulnerabilities can be there because of our activity. Well, you know, internally in the organization, which is looking at the next bit performed by the organization, it may be the case that accounts rely on Sage or QuickBooks or Zero Accounting or Wave Accounting as we use, or it may be that you're relying on a CRM package like Salesforce or Herbst Insight or one of these industry specific CRM programs. It may be that you're using something like Alteryx or Tableau or one of these dashboard type systems with an engine behind for processing of data or data warehousing. Essentially, all of those different platforms that you're using can be considered as interfaces that are required for you to provide for a function to be carried out. And because of that interface, there arises a number of dependencies. So I guess it's not possible for us to be specific about what those dependencies are unless you consider each individual system that you're using, each individual activity. So I guess what we're looking for at a high level when we're stating the scope of a management system, which is what clause 4.3 is all about, documenting the scope of the management system with regard to information security. So interfaces and dependencies would be at a high level by stating that, for example, the organization might use Microsoft Office, Google G Suite. It might house a software platform up in AWS or Azure. These platforms and software applications become important. So by stating them, these are the systems we rely on to carry out our work on a day-to-day basis at a very high level. Number one, as part of a scope statement, it kind of gives the world at large and the auditors in particular an understanding of where your vulnerabilities lie with regard to the amount of exposure you have through these systems. And so you can consider internally, how are you using them, and externally, who are these interested parties and how do you then set up contractual arrangements and provide for data protection agreements and so on. So in summary, what we're looking for here really is just for the organization to consider within its scope statement to make sure that it considers those dependencies that arise out of the interfaces that are required for it to carry out its operations. Further clarity can come from the FAQ section, the ISO FAQ section of the Enable ISO website. It may be that you do need a little bit of consultancy to really get some clarity on what your specific requirements are. That's it for now. Hopefully that can take you another step further to certification. Thank you.